Good afternoon. Our resolve, our commitment, and our determination to protect Ontario has been absolute and constant. Ontarians have trusted our government, led by Premier Ford, to keep them safe, and we take the trust reposed in us to heart every day, in the decisions we make and the leadership we show. The progress since we came to office in June of 2018 is real and without modern-day precedent, but it does not mean our work is finished. This government, of which I and my colleagues are proud to be a part of, is committed every day in delivering against the goals of our public safety with focus, intent, and action. We have shown an unwavering and relentless commitment to do hard things, to move with urgency, and to hold the fulfillment of our fundamental rights of living peacefully in our own homes and communities at the very bedrock of our decisions. And we will stand to support victims, have the backs of the brave men and women who put on the uniform every day, and we will hold criminals accountable even when others won't. And that's how you protect Ontario. A few minutes ago, I introduced the Protecting Ontario Streets and Communities Act. This legislation builds on the decisive action we have already taken through measures like the Protect Ontario Through Safer Streets and Stronger Communities Act and the Keeping Criminals Behind Bars Act. And it represents the next step in our plan, our continuous journey to protect Ontario, strengthen public safety, and keep communities safe. Protecting Ontario is about more than reducing crime. It's about building a province where people can live and work and invest and raise their families with confidence. Families put down roots, raise their kids, and take care of their seniors and loved ones where they feel safe. And businesses invest, entrepreneurs innovate, where they know workers, customers, and communities feel secure. And people go about their lives with confidence, like playing in a park, shopping, and worshiping in spaces when they are safe. Public safety is not separate from Ontario's prosperity. It is fundamentally and umbilically tied to it. And that's why our government has taken decisive action since day one. We've made generational investments in frontline policing. 12,000 more boots on the ground have been added since 2018. We've invested over $1 billion in grants to our police services, which has made a substantial difference in our public safety. And we've made transformational investments in overhauling Ontario's correctional system that was undeniably brought to its knees by the previous Ontario Liberal government by building new jails, expanding existing ones, and having a transparent plan to add over 2,500 new beds over the next few years. And we've hired, by the way, over 3,000 new correctional officers, staff, with more to come, all to send a clear message. And I've said this before. If anyone feels compelled to break the law and endanger others, we have room for you. Alongside these investments, we've advanced bold legislation year after year in the spring and in the fall to strengthen enforcement, protect victims, and hold offenders accountable. And today's legislation builds on that work. I'm proud to be joined by my colleagues who have public safety measures included in this legislation because at the end of the day, public safety touches every part of government, and we are taking a coordinated, all-of-government approach to keeping Ontario safe. The Protecting Ontario Streets and Communities Act is designed to make communities safer, strengthen enforcement and accountability, equip law enforcement with the tools they need, protect victims and vulnerable people. Our legislation would target predatory towing operators who prey on drivers in distress, positioning themselves near collision sites, aggressively soliciting tows, and making what is already a dangerous and stressful situation even worse. We'll strengthen enforcement and oversight to ensure authorities have the tools they need to stop this behavior and protect everyone traveling on our highways. And in addition, we'll analyze towing and storage rates to establish maximum rates, ensuring a breakdown on the highway doesn't turn into a financial disaster. As I've announced earlier this month, we're empowering special constables to stop dangerous drug use on public transit and the dangerous behavior that often follows. We're also stopping illegal drugs at their source by holding commercial landlords accountable for knowingly permitting their properties to be used for illegal drug production, and by cracking down on the precursor chemicals and equipment used to manufacture these dangerous substances. And we're standing up for victims of crime and other vulnerable people by giving victims of harassment the right to sue their harasser and helping survivors of human trafficking escape debts they were forced into by their traffickers. And these measures are only a part of this legislation. We're taking steps to increase transparency around high-risk offenders and provide communities with greater access of information that they can help keep them safe. And that's not all. The Protecting Ontario Streets and Communities Act also includes measures to strengthen policing and governance of police boards, improve access to vulnerable sector police record checks, modernize training and oversight for security guards, enhance protection for children and vulnerable people. This legislation represents the next step in our plan to protect Ontario. But friends, it won't be the last. In a few hours, I will again have the incredible opportunity to speak at our newest badged Toronto police officers ceremony. I will remind them that they never walk alone. That's because, as it has been since our first day on the job, we're totally committed to the welfare in words and in action of everyone that keeps Ontario safe. It's our pledge and our promise. Again, at their badging ceremony in a few hours, for those of us there, we will hear the pipes and the drums. It's our Ontario sound. It's hopeful, it's big-hearted, it's idealistic, it's decent, and it's fair. And it reminds us that we can and must be optimistic about our province and our future. And for that, we must show leadership and resolve to protect Ontario. And we will. Thank you. Merci. And miigwech.
We will now take questions. It's one question, one follow-up. Please state your name and outlet. Thank you.
Minister Kerzner, the bill gives your office, I believe it's your office, the power to advise on the operation of police school boards and issue directives to police school boards about priorities. Can you explain why this is necessary and provide an example of what a directive may be?
Well, what I can tell you, and we just tabled the legislation a short time ago, what I can tell you is the safety of our kids in school is paramount. This concept of bringing in the police back into the schools to keep the school safe and to keep everyone in the school safe is a high priority. We're going to make sure that we will work with the police services and the boards throughout our province, and we will make sure that there is absolute instructions given in that regard to keep the school safe. But remember, our police do a phenomenal job, and I want to congratulate my colleague, Minister Calandra, for moving forward this concept of bringing back the police in our schools so that all kids can feel safe.
So would you be able to direct police to go into schools with this power?
No, I don't, as you know, and thank you for the question, I don't direct any police anywhere in the province. I don't direct the OPP. I don't direct municipal, and I don't direct First Nations police services. What we want to do, again, in the question of the schools, is to make sure that our kids are safe. And we make sure our teachers are safe, our administrative staff is safe, our custodial staff is safe. And that's something that I want to thank Minister Calandra for his leadership on.
Your government has, ordered the OPP to ground all of their Chinese-made drones. Can you tell us how much this transition will cost the taxpayers? Are they going to sell those Chinese-made drones, and how much are the new ones going to cost?
Well, I'm going to let Minister Crawford speak to why we're changing that. The reality is, and I think Premier Ford's spoken about it. Firstly, we have great innovators, and we have great technology that is homegrown in Canada. As part of the Buy Ontario, we want to give our entrepreneurs, our manufacturers of technology, an opportunity to participate in a request for tender. Nobody's closing down and grounding the DJI drones today. What we're saying is we have a pathway forward to make sure that homegrown technology has a chance to have an opportunity to flourish, and it will. Minister. Thank you. And I said last week the number is 3. The number is 3 today. We're going to bring that number to 0. I'll again put into context for what I said last week. We inherited a system that was completely devastated, broken down by its knees. The Ontario Liberal government did not, and still has not in the legislature, ever said that we closed 8 jails. We took a system that was broken. We've made transformational investments. We're proud of that. We have more work to do, and we're doing that. And I won't be satisfied as Solicitor General, or the Premier will not be satisfied until that number is 0, and we're going to get it to 0.
Inmates aware when they get accidentally released that it's an accident and they're not supposed to be out there, and when they come back, are they, oh my God, I wasn't supposed to be back in jail, or what's the process of that?
Well, remember, when an inmate is released improperly, there is an immediate search through the local police service of jurisdiction to reapprehend them. So the minute that there's a call to reapprehend, people know that they're going to be reapprehended. If there is any threat at all to a community, and I've spoken about this both in the legislature and here, then the police service will never hesitate to issue a public safety announcement. I won't be satisfied until that number is 0. We're almost there. And I want to say something else. We put enormous resources in place. Part of this over 3,000 new hires is to make sure that we have administrative staff and additional oversight, which is very, very important to make sure that we don't have improper releases. We're going to get that number to 0, and you know what? It's going to stay at 0 because we will not tolerate even one.
To that point, Solicitor General, do you know when the last inmate was accidentally released? That number's been 3 for a while. It's down from 6. Have you had no accidental releases for, say, the last 3 months, 4 months? Do you know when the last one took place?
I appreciate the question. I can't speak to that right now. All I know is our number is 3. I've told the ministry get that number down to 0. It means finding people, and it means making sure that the enhanced oversight that has gone into place, especially with the additional hires that have come on board, will make that number 0. In the end of the day, I look to the investments that we're making in our corrections. 2,500 new beds is not insignificant, especially when you look at the Liberal record. Closing 8 jails meant taking 20% plus of the then inventory offline. I'm also excited in the months ahead, and I hope to share more details with you soon, about what are we going to do with Brantford and Walkerton, because I really want to see both of those jails reopen. I've toured both of them with our local members in Brantford. It's our great MPP, Will Boma, and in the case of Walkerton, it's Minister Lisa Thompson. I'm going to move heaven and earth to get those 2 jails reopened because they shouldn't have been closed in the first place. All you have to do is go and see it, and you'd ask somebody, why did you close it? And I'm going to do everything I can to reopen them.
Are you expecting to pass this legislation before the summer, or will it pass in the fall?
Well, I just introduced it, but the second reading will be soon, and I look forward with my colleagues to speaking on it. But really what this legislation does is it just sends a message across Ontario that we don't just say we're tough on crime. We have to have actions that show it. And when you line up, my incredible colleagues behind me, each of which have participated tremendously in coming together on this bill, it sends a message across Ontario that somebody's standing up for the local family that just wants to live safe. In my community of York Centre, I have people every day that say public safety is right at the top of the list, and we want to make sure that they know their government is taking it seriously. And I'll tell you something, when I'm going to badge, help witness, and see the chief hand out the badges to the new Toronto police officers, I'm going to champion my police service because they represent a very important continuity of our public safety. And as a proud MPP from Toronto, I'm never going to stop in having the backs of those that keep us safe and a government that champions public safety.
Sir, you say that you don't direct police to do anything, but so I'm just a little confused as to what's in the bill, and maybe you can explain it further. You have the power to issue directives to police service boards establishing priorities. How is that different?
Well, that is very, and I appreciate the question. What we want to do is we want to align the priorities of the police service boards across the province with the priorities of the government. And some municipal police service boards do a great job, and others kind of go it their own way. What we want to do is, for lack of confusion and enhanced clarity, say to police service boards across the province, these are the priorities of the government, and be aware of it, and take that into consideration in the decisions you, as a municipal police service board, do. And that's very important.
Will there be any penalties if police service boards do not take those priorities into account?
The police service boards are represented by both government appointees. The majority, as you know, rests with the municipalities. What we want to do is have an excellent way of communicating. I want to thank the men and women that are on the police service boards. I want to give a shout out to the Ontario Association of Police Service Boards. It's led by an incredible individual, Al Boughton, who's also a member of the Peel Regional Police Board. I want to say to them that the work that you do is important. But finally, by this legislation, we will say to police service boards, these are the priorities of the government, and whether it means tackling and focusing on cleaning up our parks or cleaning up our streets or getting rid of guns and drugs in our community, it's a way of circulating the government's priorities, enunciating it, clarifying it, and most importantly, communicating it.
Minister,
would
are
you
there
give-
plans to expand which constables and special constables and groups have access or allowed to carry firearms with them? It seems like there's some increased responsibilities coming to different tiers of security guards, SIU having greater oversight over different groups.
I've announced, I've spoken to that when we did our announcement right in our own constituency of York Centre. I said that right now we are not looking to change who from special constables will carry firearms. It's a conversation we're continuing to have with the Special Constable Associations, but also with the Police Association of Ontario, that's the PAO, with the OPPA, Ontario Provincial Police Association, and the Toronto Police Association. What we want to do is, and thank you for the question, is ensure that special constables on transit will stop people from open drug use and causing a disturbance on our subways in Toronto, in Ottawa, and on the Metrolinx GO system. And that's important. Riders deserve to go on transit without having to look behind their back and feeling scared. And by increasing the role that transit constables play, it's very important.
That concludes today's event.
No,
Thank
one thing the
you.
Minister of Transportation